Hey, it's Cary, and I would love if you shared your story with us. You are listening to Camouflaged Beauty, a podcast of shared experiences for military and veteran women. Hey, it is Cary, and we are back for another episode of Camouflaged Beauty. As always, I have another brilliant and amazing military woman for you. So we've all been in the military for quite some time, or have been at some point in time. And, we've all navigated the medical system to some degree. It's not always easy. Sometimes they get it right, and sometimes they don't. But it has to be frustrating being in uniform and not quite sure or understanding what's really going on with your body. Guess what? The mission still has to go on. So my guest today, Yarden Smash, has been in the military for 19 years and counting. And to endure what she has and still show up as a stellar senior NCO has got to be a challenge within itself. So she's going to share her story today with all of you. Welcome her to the platform. Hey.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well today. How are you?
I am good. I am excited to hear this story because I know that it's going to help other people who are suffering through other things they just don't understand. So let's get into it. Let's talk about your early years in the military. How was that?
All right. So I joined in 2002. I went to basic in September. I'm a petite person, even though I'm a little bit tall, like I'm small frame. And I was told, like, oh my gosh, you're so tiny. Like, do you need help? Like, do you need all of this? But I made it through basic. I had to shove some pizza in my mouth, and I actually gained weight in basic. I know a lot of people, have the story of the opposite where they feel like they're starving, but I actually gained some weight, some muscle, and moved forward. My first duty station was San Antonio.
Nice.
I go back and say my tech school was in San Angelo. So Texas. You put Japan on your dream sheet and you get Texas.
Texas.
So, maybe that's just where I was supposed to be. But early on, I'm an Intel analyst, and everything was good. I was always in the gym. Like, I loved working out, loved running, just staying fit and happy. And then I got tired of Texas. 2.5 years in, it was like, what is going on with this job? There's no growth. So boom, press the button and on my way to Korea, because that's where us Intel cats go when we want to escape the state.
That's the secret.
Yeah, I'm all about pressing buttons. Probably gonna hear about that. Like, I've pretty much pressed buttons to get everywhere that I've gone so far. So definitely take advantage of being able to press the button would be one of my little hints for those in the military. Take charge of your own career as best you can without burning any bridges. And Korea was awesome. Again, another place. I gained weight. I was on shift, and I would go to the gym, and I would work out, and I would eat, and then I'd go down to the bars, and I drink, and I dance. And we were on 3 days on and 3 days off, and it was crazy because your body can't regulate through that. So in the words of my sister, I got a little chunky when I came back. A little chunky. You'll probably never hear those terms again, because as soon as I came back to the States, it all went away. And I went to Georgia after that, and then I deployed. I went to Iraq because, again, I wanted to press buttons because I was like, what's going on with this mission? What is this? Like, you put me as a training manager, and that's not what I'm here for. I'm Intel. I'm supposed to be, finding bad guys.
Right.
And that didn't quite go that way. They were like, oh, you have training in your background? Let's make you a training manager.
Of course.
So long story short, I went to Iraq, and I served my 189 days and almost got hit by a mortar. And that was pretty stressful. But I'm here. I made it. And shortly after that, it's like my body was like, hey, man, you just kind of endured like some crazy stuff, hanging out with some special oppie kids. And, we got all this tension going on. And I'd probably say that was the first sign of me not being so athletic and fit in the gym, just having this kind of pain in my body. My shoulders were like up to here. from tension
Mm.
and stress, and I'd go get massages, and they were just like, we just don't really know what's going on, you know. But again, I also got tired of Georgia because I'd been there for a while, and came across this ad to, wait for it, Texas. Now,
Oh God.
the reason I went back to Texas was twofold. My sister was there. She's a chief in the Air Force, and we don't often get a lot of times to get stationed together. So I wanted to take advantage of that. And plus, I was tired of Georgia, good old Augusta, Georgia. So, nothing super fancy if anybody's ever heard of Augusta, Georgia. It's a great family town, but I'm a single woman. At least I was at the time, and I was like, this is not where I want to be. There's no nighttime scene, no nothing like that. So off I go to San Antonio. And that's when my body was like, hey man, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know. Like, this is kind of weird. Started going to medical, got headaches, got dizzy, said I had vertigo, and that kind of went downhill from there to what would eventually be known as fibromyalgia.
So that's a big transition from vertigo, right,
Yeah.
to fibromyalgia, right? That's a lot in between that, I'm supposing. So, you were in San Antonio, which is known to be a great place for the medical community and the military, anyway. Excellent medical care. How long were you here when those symptoms started?
I was, let's see, at PCS, I believe in like June. So maybe like a couple of months. I'd
Mm,
say like September 2011 timeframe is when it was just like one key thing that happened is I was not feeling well and I was driving. So disclaimer, I made it safely. But I called my sister and I was like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Like I'm so dizzy, everything feels lopsided, and this was the vertigo. Well, I pulled over and I don't remember anything after that. I guess my sister came and got me and took me in the ambulance and we went there. And then they gave me this medicine, and then I started having all of these stomach pains. Like, they called them paralytic spasms. And it was like your whole core just freezes up. And if
mm,
anybody knows anything about the human body, you can't do anything without your core. It's kind
mhm,
of the core for a reason.
mhm.
So I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't do anything. And it was just back and forth at the ER. And at the time I was working shift work, and it was very hard to be on shift with that pain, and I ended up having to leave work and go to the ER because it's really the only thing open, at 10 o'clock at night. There's no urgent care in San Antonio, and it was just every few days back into the ER trying to figure out what's going on. They eventually took me off of all the medicine for vertigo and for headaches, and they were like, maybe her meds are causing these other issues.
Mhm.
So I went off all the meds, but the problem still existed.
Mm.
And it was just back and forth. And then I'd say it got to a point where medical was actually fed up with me going to the ER, and
I'm sure.
I wasn't getting sent to like any specialty care clinics or anything like that. So I ran into a civilian doctor at the ER, and he was like, you know what? Something is going on. You keep coming in here. We keep pumping you full of morphine and sending you on your way. Because, that's basically what they do at the ER. Like, we need to figure something out. And it was probably one of the best things that happened from a medical standpoint, but probably not so great for work.
Mm.
Because I'm in now, I'm missing days, I'm missing shifts, and it just kind of looks weird, and I'm just like, I don't really know what's going on. Well, they've seen me have episodes at work, and they're kind of just like, well, we don't know like what's going on. So this civilian doctor was like, until you can get seen by gastro, I'm putting you on convalescent leave. Of course, that has to get approved. So I was gone from work for about 45 days because
Wow.
medical is not as fast as we think it is, even in great San Antonio. And my I I'd say I suffered a bit. I was kind of looked at funny because you don't get put on convalescent leave for waiting on medical normally. Like, it's not really heard of. But I had a really good superintendent, and he was like, "We want to figure out what's going on with you because normally you're like a stellar troop, and we just want to get you the help you need." So I definitely appreciate that. But about 45 days later, then I got diagnosed with IBS, not fibromyalgia. So irritable bowel syndrome. And that's what they were like, hey, something's going on in your stomach where it's just causing these spasms that are irritating your bowels, and this is what we think it is. So then it was that, and I just went on about things and thinking that, okay, I have IBS. I already knew that I had headaches, so I was like, okay, I have IBS. The vertigo kind of did go away, so that was good. So then it was just trying to, hey, learn how to deal with this thing called IBS. So eliminating all this stuff out of my diet and starting to figure out what my triggers were. That was about a 6-month process.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt okay, but I was still like in a lot of pain, a lot of issues. Just trying to figure that out. And then I'd always be tired. And I didn't think anything of it because, again, like I said, I was on shift work and your body can't really regulate with that.
Right.
And then inside health issues. So after that, like, I started getting on meds, and then I was like, okay, I feel okay. I ended up having to go to physical therapy for a little bit, trying to build up kind of like my muscles back in my stomach. And shortly after that, I took a PT test. Should have took a PT test.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a staff sergeant, and staff were just early tech, one of them, because I made tech in Texas. And I didn't quite know that you could say no to a PT test.
They don't like to tell people that.
They don't like to tell people that at all. So a bunch of things happened during this PT test. It was pretty wild. Before the PT test, I had a panic attack. I had a panic attack because I got notification that my pending assignment to training was canceled. And I was like, what is going on? On top of that, my assignment was canceled. And then I got a separation notice. And I was like, I don't know what is going on with AFPC, but I have this PT test. That's probably when I should have said, hey guys, not feeling so great. Can we, take this test later? But I didn't. And I tried to push through. Also not so great. Ended up having another panic attack in the middle of the test and ultimately failing the test. They were like, okay, we understand it's medical, but due to the process, right, it just looks like a failure. Went to work, told them what happened, and they were like, oh my gosh, oh, Sergeant Smash, like, we understand, you're normally really great, and we know you just went through all this medical stuff. We'll take care of that. Okay. No, they didn't take care of it.
Oh my God.
I was basically given an LOC and told that it would stay on my record because they couldn't identify what actually happened. They never went through medical, so that really sucked. So now I have this failure on my record. I lost my assignment and I'm separating. At least this is what's going on in my head, and I'm trying to figure it all out.
That spiraled quickly.
Yeah. I was like, this is pretty crappy. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. So went back to medical, and they were like, okay, we're just going to keep you on a profile. We'll put you back in physical therapy. They couldn't really do anything from the PT standpoint because that's more of the military aspect. And they were just like, we're just going to try to work with you this way. And then I was able to get in contact with assignments, and they were like, we don't know what happened, but we can get you back your assignment. And as long as you re-enlist, you won't be separating. And I was like, okay, cool. So all of that kind of got back on track. And I ended up PCSing to Pensacola.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so Pensacola Cary Station to be a cyber analyst. Like, oh, yay. So it's called the Joint Cyber Analysis course, and it's about 5.5 months. I would say, I don't know if it was being in Florida or whatever, but I started this, but when I got there, I went with a friend and we were like, you know what, we're going to do a fast. I don't know what made us do this fast, but we did a fast. And I was already like, well, I can't eat like half of the stuff I normally ate before because of this cool thing called IBS that I'm learning how to live with. And I did the fast and it was amazing, Cary. Like, my body was great.
That's good.
I was able to start running again. I felt really good. I didn't miss any days of training. I was just like, okay, well, this is where it's at. This is what I need to do. And I did it. I ended up doing about 2 fasts during that entire 6 months. Basically, the whole six months. I was almost like on a fast. I did eat like fish, but cut out all the main sugars. Didn't really eat any saucy things because those kind of bothered my stomach. No spice, nothing. Running did great. I took a PT test in Pensacola, and it was the first time I ever got over a 90. It was amazing. Wow. I was like, yes, I am back.
Right.
It was so awesome. It was like, oh my gosh. So I'm like doing great in school. I ended up graduating DG, and I got an assignment to Hawaii.
Okay.
Right? So one ocean to the next. It was like, oh, let's do this. Let's go. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. Like, everyone tells me all these great things about Hawaii. Now, I will say up front, I never really wanted to go to Hawaii. It was far. I was always trying to be close to my family, but God takes you where he takes you. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I am back on track. I can run, I can jump, I skip, hop. Everything's great. Wonderful. 2 months into getting to Hawaii, I thought I sprained my leg. I was like, I don't know what is going on. Like, I was running and I got this intense pain in my legs. Felt like I couldn't walk. Went to the doctor. They're like, no, it's not a sprain. Okay. We'll give you some muscle relaxers. Cool. Went back a couple weeks later, tried to run, and then it was the other leg. And I was like, I don't know what's going on with my legs. Like, this pain, this numbing, feels like pins and needles all up and down my legs. No idea. They're like, okay. We'll do some x-rays. We'll do MRIs. Nothing came back. And it's like, maybe you just hurt yourself. Going through, I was on a casual status because for Intel, you have to get your clearance run through again. And there's different missions in Hawaii versus Georgia. So they just want to make sure your contacts are clear so you can go to work. Hanging out, casual status, being the NCOIC, just overall these airmen, just trying to keep them busy. And my body was just like, man, this pain in my legs. And they're like, well, maybe something's wrong with your back, because your back and your legs, your spine, all that's connected. Go through and like, I'm trying to sit in meetings. I can't sit too long. I can't stand too long. I'm just like, what is going on? Go through and they give me all these tests. Now, I will say Hawaii is probably, well, not Hawaii, Tripler. Tripler is probably the best pain management clinic I've ever seen.
Nice.
So my PCM, I walk in one day and my PCM is just like, let me do a couple things. And she like presses on like my wrists and my shoulders and all this tenderness. And I'm just like, ugh, like, you're hurting me. And she looks at me and she goes, you have fibromyalgia. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, so I'm going to send you to the pain clinic. Well, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I started looking it up and I'm getting freaked out because it's like, oh, this is a musculoskeletal condition, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, fibro fog, which means like your brain is all discombobulated. You can't think straight, and it actually hurts to think. People think like that's a saying. No, like physically hurts. Like your head hurts when you're trying to think, trying to put anything together. And it was just like, well, what is this? Well, then I started having this pain in my hands. And it was like I couldn't touch anything. Like I would try to touch something and it felt like, again, like pins and needles all throughout my hands. And I'm like, well, what is this? I can't drive uh, because it hurts. And I ended up having a friend take me to work. And they were just like, again, this is fibro. This is fibro. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I went to pain management and they were like, we're going to do acupuncture, which was awesome. And biofeedback, which is basically you telling your brain to tell your body that you're not in as much pain as you think that you're in.
Wait, does that actually work? Because I may need to try that.
It does. It does.
Really?
It's almost like it's kind of like meditation. Mm-hmm. But they give you like a couple of different words, and you're hooked up to a machine, and you can kind of see how your pain goes up and down. And when your pain is starting to spike, you start thinking of like your happy place or things like that to tell your brain like you're not in as much pain, and it actually like your pain receptors go down. Huh. I wish I could like carry one of those with me, but right. Technology is not quite there. So, get hooked up to this machine every couple of weeks and try to work on managing my pain because, again, it's called pain management. It's not called we're going to take your pain away. Mm-hmm. So that was really good. And then I started having the mental aspect. And it was like, okay, well, you kind of need to go to therapy for that because it's hard when you know that you physically are capable of doing something. Like nothing's broken, mm-hmm. but you just can't do it that day. Mm-hmm. And that's a big mental struggle. So I struggled, with mental health at that point on top of the physical aspect because it was like, I know that I'm capable. I just got this awesome PT test a couple months ago. Like, what is going on? Like, I could climb to the top of Coco Head, which is a mountain in Hawaii, or a volcano, and I'm fine, but I couldn't do it when I wanted to. So we just kept going back and forth, and I started learning how to live with fibro. And I had to talk to my leadership, kind of like, hey, don't really know what this is fully. And then you started getting horror stories from other people. Mm-hmm. And people were just kind of like, ew, yuck, like, we don't know really what to do with you. And we don't want to stress you out. So I lost my position as NTYC because I was telling other coworkers about my symptoms. And they decided to take it upon themselves to share that information with leadership in a different way than what I said. So kind of lost my voice at that point. And I just kind of fell into the background of just like, I got to take care of me, try to figure this out. And I had some other like decent leadership. Like they didn't completely discard me. Mm-hmm. But I ended up leaving the building, going back on casual status and just kind of learning how to deal with this new thing called fibromyalgia from a mental and physical standpoint.
So you're in Hawaii, and this kind of comes along with every PCS with medical issues, right? Because here's the thing, to me, fibromyalgia is one of those things that we can't see, right? Yes. And so if you have a broken leg, everybody be like, oh, she has a broken leg. Let's take care of her. She could still do the job. But when they can't see the pain, it seems as if you are just a complainer or you're making it up or you're over exaggerating. And sometimes people misunderstand that in leadership because, we ain't got life figured out. We don't. We don't. And then it comes at the expense of the airman's growth. So for you going through that, you're already in some ways, I'm assuming, feeling defeated.
Yes.
Like I know I can do these things, but I'm unfortunately not capable physical, whatever, whether physically or not at the moment due to pain, mental fog, whatever it may be. And then they take the position from you, a position of leadership. What does that feel like? Is it like a punishment, or you're like, whatever, I'm good. I wanted this break anyway.
So for me, it definitely felt like a punishment. It felt more like a punishment because no one came and talked to me. Um, it was almost like a bad rumor that they chose to believe. And it actually got to the point where I eventually talked to, so at this time I was a tech sergeant, um, but I had recently been selected to be a master sergeant. So it got to the point where one of the master sergeants came up to me and was just like, "Hey, do you want to be here?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he was like, "Do you want to be here? Because if you want to be here, you need to tell them that you want to be here." And I was like, "I never told them I didn't want to be here. No one ever came and talked to me. I just one day was in COIC and then the next I wasn't." And I know who did what and who said what, and I even know how they said it. But to me, it was like I said, it was a punishment because that leader never came to me. And even when that leader PCS'd, she wrote on like a card and she was like, "Always remember, you never have to carry the load by yourself. And, just take time for you." And I'm like, "But you never came and talked to me about what's going on with me. You knew from the outside again that I was going to all these medical appointments and I was going to therapy because I was very open about, hey, I've got these things, but it never impacted me as that leader down there because I was getting the help that I needed at the time." And it was devastating. It added to more mental frustration. If we go back a little bit, when I was in the building, that was when it was a relief, because I was telling them, "Hey, it's very hard to manage this team if I'm always at medical," because where we worked almost about 45 minutes away from medical. So totally different than when I'm like right next to medical down at our admin building. So I was grateful when I talked to like the DO when I was in operations, like, "Hey, this is what's going on. I want to kind of take this hat off because I need to focus on this." And then that's when they were like, "Okay, you can take this hat off up here. Perfectly fine. We understand." That felt like a relief. And then they granted me the hat down there because they were like, "You're still an amazing leader. We trust you. The airmen trust you. We want you down here to take care of them because it's right next to medical." Good, great. Everything's cool. But the people down there are the people that didn't talk to me. And that was the actual squadron superintendent at the time. And of course, like I said, the DO, he's up in Wahiwa and Ops. So it's just like a disconnect physically. And then I guess, I don't know where their communications went at the time. So yeah, it was definitely like one aspect of relief and then one aspect of gut punch because I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still able to help these airmen. All these airmen are always coming to me because I'm very like just a caring individual. Like for intel, people call us wall watchers sometimes. Like we don't like to make eye contact. And I put myself in we just because I'm intel, but I'm not that type of person. And sometimes we get treated just like little robots or, like just computer monkeys. And it's just like people just don't want to be bothered. And all these airmen are going through stuff, just like I'm going through stuff. Like everyone is always going through something.
Yeah.
And I would just take the time to, genuinely be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And oh my goodness. The stories. Like they would just like open up like, "Oh my gosh, cares? So I was that person. So like leadership really appreciated like my style of leadership and just caring. And that's why they were like, hey, we're gonna make you NCOIC down here instead of NCO, IC up here. So when that got taken from me down there, I was just like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
I did end up, I went on leave and I went to Texas, and that's when I found out I made master. And then I came back, and that's when that master sergeant was kind of like, do you want this? And I'm like, look, like when I am able to physically be here as I learn to manage my pain, I will go hard for you. Like I will be the best I can be in everything I can do. However, just like anybody else, like I have bad days, and my bad days, sometimes I can't fight through them or push through them. Like I just need to be at home, resting or whatever. So once we kind of got to that understanding, things got better. Like I said, that other person left. We got a new superintendent, a new first sergeant, and that aspect changed because I think they saw the fight in me.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the frustration was no one ever came to me.
Yeah.
Before they took that away from me, so it was very unsettling.
Yeah.
It left a bad taste in my mouth, but I was like, all right, master sergeant, and then opportunities started coming to me. The old DO left, and then there was a new DO, and he saw my potential, and he was like, hey, I know that you're recovering. Are you ready to go back in the building? And I'm like, yeah, I've got a new regimen. Like I said, I go do my biofeedback. I get acupuncture. I get, have you heard of battlefield acupuncture?
No, I have not.
Okay, so battlefield acupuncture is actually where they put a bunch of needles in your ear.
Uh-huh.
And it's, they're all connected to your body. And it's like, I think I get like 10 of them, but they almost look like little earrings. And you just get them in your ear, and it helps mitigate your pain in all aspects. So I would get battlefield acupuncture, and I'd go to work, and it lasts about 2.5 weeks before you need to get some more. It really just depends because sometimes they come out. But that really was good for me instead of getting like the pins and needles in my feet.
Yeah. I'm going to have to start doing that. Hi, you want to join our interview?
He took off. Yeah.
He was like, I want to be a part of this.
Right. Like he came up to me and was just like, wait a minute. She's talking to someone else. So yeah. Excuse the tiny tot.
Oh no, you're fine. Hey, this is what it's all about. First of all, this is a whole family thing because that's gonna kind of go into that too. I mean,
very much.
This is living with fibromyalgia is not easy anyway,
No.
To constantly manage that type of pain and stress. And then you have the work side. How did that also affect your personal life? What is that like?
Oh my
hey!
God. Had no personal life. I didn't want to do, excuse me, thank you. I didn't want to do anything because I felt like a party pooper, right? Like you don't want to go somewhere and then have a flare and now you have to go home, and you don't want to be the center of attention because you can't control what's happening to your body. Mm-hmm. So I didn't do much anything for like my first 1.5 years in Hawaii. Like, and it sucked, like, because you want to go hike and you want to go to the beach, and it's water all around, and it's lush green life, and I lived downtown. It was amazing where I lived, but I was just like, I don't want to do anything until I can figure out what this is and how to better manage it.
Yeah.
So I didn't really date. I didn't do anything. I went to work and I came home on the days that I could go to work. I had really good, excuse me, friends that understood. So a lot of times, like we'd do like more hangouts at the house. That way I didn't have to worry about driving or anything like that. And it was just very, very chill time. um, I think I dated twice. But it was very just at that point, like I was really happy that I was a single person and I could
Yeah.
just go in my home and go to sleep and not have any cares or worries and not have people depending on me in that way. So
But
outside,
then,
yeah,
but then life changed,
then life changed.
right?
Yeah,
As it always does. And
of
so
course.
how did you learn to manage your pain anyway? Before you got married, before you had kids, like how did you, besides the military stuff, how did you learn how to manage your pain?
Oh my gosh, I did aromatherapy. I'm spiritual, so I was definitely into like praying for that spiritual strength. I would get massages when I couldn't, because I think that was one thing that they didn't offer me at the pain clinic.
Hmm.
But I would go to like a basically like Massage Envy or like an equivalent
Yeah.
in Hawaii, and I would get massages. Again, like I cut out a lot of stuff out of my diet because that affected the IBS aspect of what would then again be fibro. Because I found out IBS is like a, and obviously this isn't a one and done situation, but IBS can be a precursor to fibro.
Oh.
So they were basically telling me before that had they done like more evaluations in Texas, then they probably would have got to the fibromyalgia earlier. But everyone was just so focused on just the paralytic spasms that they didn't look at my other symptoms. So I just I took my time. I would celebrate my small victories. That's what I call it. So, like when I was able to just walk to the grocery store across the street inside of the mall um, without pain and without feeling like crap, then that would be my small victory.
Hmm.
I would start going on like longer walks. So I'd go over down the way to the beach because there's a beach downtown in Hawaii.
Of
So I would
course.
go, like hang out on the beach. I did aqua therapy. So when I could get in the water, that felt really nice. So that helped just bring the pain and the stress down. Just kind of accepting that, hey, your body's not always going to do what you want it to do when you want it
Hmm.
to do it was also a really big hurdle. And at times, even now, right, I kind of forget because I can have a lot of great days, a lot of great days. And then that one time where things are starting to go downhill really sucks. And you kind of just have to remember, like, hey, I have this condition that no one can see, that only I can see and I can feel. And I just have to listen to my body. And I just had to really focus on that. Like, just, hey, listen to your body because your
Hmm.
body is going to tell you one way or the other. You can
Yes,
listen
it
to
will.
it or you can end up on the floor.
Right. But either way, it's gonna tell you. It's up
It's
to
going to tell
you.
you. Yeah. There's a book called The Body Takes Score. And it's very true, right? Like, we don't understand everything that our body absorbs, and our
Yeah.
body absorbs everything going on around us. And it might take our mind longer to recognize that stress or that tension, but our body has captured it. And it might capture it in, I don't know, just like you just needing to kind of like stretch your hand, right? Like you don't
Hmm.
know what it's from, but your body's like, hey man, stretch your hand, rub your hand or whatever. So I was talking to a therapist and they were like, yes, you really need to get that book. You need to look at it. And I was like, yes, I know about that book because our body just registers things
Yeah.
a lot quicker than our mind can. And it just all builds up. And that's another thing what they say about fibromyalgia, because you don't recognize that you're stressed. So you don't know to de-stress. And then it
Hmm.
just sticks on.
Builds up.
Yeah, it builds up and you can't break it down. And then your body's like, okay, I'll find another way to deal with this. I'm going to deal
Yeah.
with this way. So yeah, it was just taking time to really understand and just listen to my body and
Yeah.
just trying to keep stress low. Hard, I know, as we grow
Yeah.
in levels of leadership.
Yeah.
But you just that and staying open and honest with my leaders, like, hey, today sucks. Hey, today's great. I
Yeah.
could stay and work, 12 hours for you today, but tomorrow I might not be able to. But I'll
Yeah.
let you know, I'll let you know how it goes. So
Yeah. So I love that because even in the Intel world, where we look at that as one of the highest levels of responsibilities in the force, right? It's not like you're nothing against anyone's job. You know what? I'm not even gonna name a job because somebody gonna be mad. I was gonna say not like X job, but it doesn't matter. So
right.
in the Intel world, you're expected to perform at a particular level all the time. Your brain is consistently thinking and analyzing whatever it is that you're looking at or doing at the time.
Yeah.
So to have leaders who understand that even as an intel person, you're not a robot, you're still a human, you're still a person, you still may require to take a knee.
Yep.
Um, I think that says something about them as leaders. And that should translate to every career field
It
and
should.
every leader, but
Yes,
we know that's not always true,
we
right?
do.
And so this is one of the reasons like sharing your story is important because there's someone out here listening right now who, even when you spoke about the particular leader who took you away from the NCOIC position and their response after when they were getting ready to leave, maybe in that leader's mind they felt like they were helping. You see, probably wholeheartedly was like, oh, I'm doing this for this member. But
Yep.
the disconnect is they never actually asked you what it is that you wanted or you needed.
Right.
Again, the human elements of leadership, having that connection in that conversation is important as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you never know how strong someone is, but you ask them,
Mhm.
like, hey, can you carry this? Are
Yeah.
you okay with this? Do you feel comfortable with any of those questions? Could have led to, hey, maybe this is the best fit. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't need to be in COSC right now. Maybe that would have opened my eyes to it.
Yeah.
Um, but if you never ask,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like it's taken away. On the flip side of that, though, I had a coworker in Texas, and she was very closed off about her medical stuff. And it broke my heart because I knew that she was going through a lot,
Yeah.
but she kind of tied leaders' hands when she didn't tell them what was going on, and then she was just gone. I was just like, I know that some people don't want to overshare, but
Yeah.
sometimes you got to give like basic information.
Oh, you have to.
Um,
Because if
to
not, it's gonna be like you're malingering. Like
yes,
where you at?
yes, like
How many
what's
appointments do
going
you
on?
have? Yeah, for sure.
Like, oh well, I couldn't get out of bed this morning because whatever. And it's like, but did
Mhm.
you call anyone to tell them that you couldn't get out of bed?
Yeah.
Because I was the person where I was like, hey, I can't move my core. Like, I'm stuck in my bed. My
Yeah.
sister is on the way, and I'm going to the ER. Like,
Yeah.
and and to me, like, even that, like, at one point, I was told that I was malingering because I couldn't do briefs, and I'm like, I'm walking slower than a turtle around here.
Yeah.
I don't know who malingers to go to the ER, but I don't know anybody that does because that essentially wastes like almost a whole day. Like, you
Yes.
never know how long you're going to be in the ER. And like you said, this is an invisible condition. So it's like, hey, what's wrong with you? Are you having a heart attack? No.
Yep.
Or like, do
Yep.
you have a fever? No. Are you bleeding? No. Okay, take a number, sit down.
You're
And
last on the list.
right. So it's like, who malingers to
Yeah.
stay at the ER all day?
Yeah.
And that was my frustration in Texas when he kind of told me that. And I'm like, I'm going to the ER. I'm
Yeah.
getting put on essentially 2 days of quarters to come back with no results, no help, because all they did again was pumping me with morphine.
Yeah.
and send me back to work where, again, I'm walking slower than a turtle because I don't understand what's going on with my body. And you're going to tell me that I'm malingering?
Yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that too, it has to make you feel I think when you have invisible illnesses and there's a gamut of them, it makes you, well, I can only speak for myself. It makes you feel when you go to the doctor and they're like, are you bleeding? Are your eyes falling out? Are you broken a bone? No fever? Oh, you're good. I just saw you 2 days ago. It makes you feel like a hypochondriac. Like they're
Yes.
looking at you like, you know, so that adds to the malingering conversation too. I just think it's something that unfortunately people still don't understand invisible illnesses. It's just not something we're good at unless you have personally experienced it yourself, or you know someone who has, or there's someone brave enough like you to share their journey and story to help somebody else, because most people don't even understand what fibromyalgia really is.
They don't. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, I've gone to doctors
Hmm.
before, and they're like, they don't believe in it. And I'm like, this is
Correct.
a legit
Correct.
medical condition with way more information now than, before in 2012 that we have to make it a legitimate thing, that obviously something is going on with
Hmm.
these people. I was just reading, like, it affects like almost 10 million people
Yeah.
on average, and it's like something is going on. We're not all malingering. We're not all hypochondriac.
Right.
Like, something is happening to us, and we can't describe it. And like I said, other than that 10 or 13 point test for tenderness, which even that I'm still like slightly skeptical of as far as like how to diagnose it. The
Yeah.
other one is just like ruling out everything else under the sun, and then
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that there's so many people that are still now like, yeah, that's just what happens when you can't deal with your pain. Like, that's just what we say. And it's still like, well, I have chronic pain and I'm tired, and my head hurts and my brain hurts, and some days I can move and some days I can't, and some days I just want to lay in bed because I don't want to bother anyone, or I don't want to pretend, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to pretend like I'm okay
Yeah.
when I know that I'm not. Like, something is not right in my body, in my mind, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's super, super crazy. Invisible conditions and illnesses are definitely something that like I said, you just have to be open and honest with your leadership. And I do understand that there's always going to be, those leaders out there that are going to be shaking their head like,
Yeah.
nah, you're just making this up. But I think eventually you're going to come across or get to a point of understanding with them, right? Like,
Yeah.
at some point they're going to know you are a great airman, big A, and you are doing what you can. But again, you just have down days, and sometimes it's when they have down days, or when you can actually just have like a true heart to heart, and it's like, hey, you know what, you struggle with this. Did you know that's an invisible condition?
Yeah.
I can't see that you're struggling with anxiety or
Yeah.
depression. I can't see that. But after us having, this peer-to-peer conversation as just people,
Yeah.
we all, like I said, we all have struggles. Like, it doesn't even have to be a condition, right? Stress can be seen as an invisible situation or
Hmm.
condition, right? Illness. Especially if it's not managed properly. People fly off the handle, and you're just like, what's going on with them?
Right.
And
Right.
you
And then they
have,
just write you off as a bad troop. Like, oh, she
right.
snapped today. Like, no, there's something else probably going on with that person. But what you're talking about, and what you're doing here or helping to do here is to break those stigmas that's been associated for so long with the anxieties and the depression and fibromyalgia. Or there's so many different types of illnesses that cause IBS.
Yes.
I've heard someone talk about having GERD,
Yep.
all these different things you cannot see, but the effects of them on your body and on your mind affects you going into the office and taking care of people.
100.
So You mentioned a second ago about your having those open conversations and talking to your leadership, but you also mentioned a few segments back about finding your voice.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what you have to do to advocate for yourself, for your care, for your flexibility at work that may be necessary. You almost have to jump on tables and say, listen to me.
Yep.
So, before we wrap up, we have a few minutes left. I want to talk about one of the things that one of the projects that you recently worked on, and it kind of ties into, in a sense, finding your voice. So you are a author of
I
a
am.
book.
Yeah.
Yes, tell us about that.
Okay. I actually have it here. So it's Speak Up My Child. And this is a book that my sister and I co authored. And it's about helping children find your voice because we kind of understand that if you can find your voice as a child, you
Mhm.
normally keep up with it and you can be a more outspoken or better advocate for yourself as an adult. And this book kind of goes through children and different situations of when they are going through something and how we want to support them to speak up. We don't often talk about kids having bad days, right? We want to hear about the good stuff and the great things that they're doing and the milestones that they made, but we don't always get a chance to talk about the kids and their bad days and maybe how they feel about those bad days. So this book kind of helps open up the door for those conversations of if your child or a child that you know is going through something, how to help them and support them so that they can speak up. They can tell you that they're not having a great day. They might tell you sometimes that they don't like you because of something that you did, and that kind of takes us aback as a parent or even just as an adult. But it's kind of like, okay, what is this kid going through? Well, let me hear them out because it might be something in my tone, it might be something in my mannerisms that are bothering them that have an effect on them, and we just never know. Like I said, with the human aspect, we just never know what someone is going through. So this book, like I said, it's chocolate people because we want to be representative of ourselves. It goes through mom and dad, but it also goes through just a mom or just a dad or, just the whole family. And just kind of just supporting your child through whatever they're going through and letting them know like it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated. Let's talk it out. Let's figure out what's going on. And I want you to know that you can talk to me and you need to use your voice because your voice has power, right? All of our voices have power, just like you said. Like sometimes it might take standing up on that table to get what you need said, and sometimes that's what kids do, right? And we might take it as them acting out, but maybe they really have something important to say and they need to get
Mhm.
something off of their chest, and we just need to let their little voices be heard. So that's what
Mhm.
this book is about.
Yeah, no, I love that, and you're 100% correct. If we can start to teach children at a very young age the power of their voice, it just makes them better advocates for themselves as they get older.
Yeah.
Whether it, especially we're talking this topic that we're talking about, it is hard to advocate for yourself when the doctors and the nurses and the coworkers and the leaders are saying, "Oh, you're fine. There's
Yeah.
nothing
It's like
wrong."
I'm not.
But no, I'm not.
I tell them at school now because they're like, "Hey, you weren't here," and I was like, "Any day that I'm here is a great day. When I'm
Yeah.
not, it's not." And even like I said, even just as simple as talking to your teachers or just anybody, right? Just letting them know. You don't have to let them know everything that you're going through, but hey, I'm human. Today's not the best day. I'm not feeling myself.
Mm-hmm.
I need a break. I need, a little bit more time on
Yeah.
XYZ. Just keeping it open and honest. Even though it does add, that vulnerability, but it,
Yes.
it, it works out in the long run. And
Yeah.
that's how I've been actually able to continue my career. Because I know a lot of people that have actually gotten out due to this condition.
And that's unfortunate, right? People want to be seen for who they are. And that's all inclusive. And so it's unfortunate that people will feel like that. But I also understand how it can be overwhelming living with a condition like this and still having the expectations of the job, and maybe not always being accepted by people around you who just simply don't understand.
Very true.
Yeah. So before we go, I like to ask all my guests to do what I call a mentor moment, to share something with our listeners out there that can inspire them if they're going through something similar. What would you tell those listeners listening today?
Again, I say listen to your body. And I mean that in like the most sincere way, because sometimes our bodies are tired and we might be the best airmen on the block, but we might just be tired. And it's okay to get out. It really is. But if you want to be in and you want to continue, talk to your leadership, be open, let them know that you have that fight, that you want to stay, and you're going to have those good days, and sometimes you're going to have those bad days, but you're still going to be the best you that you can be. I think if we can get to that point, then those that want to continue their career, hopefully they will be able to, especially dealing with these conditions. There's all types of therapy. I don't really advocate medicine because that can end up going either way. But do what's best for you. And like I said, just listen to your body and just be open and honest with your leadership as best as you can. I know that doesn't always work out, but I think it'll eventually work out for that person. At least you gave it a shot. I mean, any day someone can tell me that it's time for me to go, and I'm okay with that. But I'm just gonna let them know, at the end of the day, like, hey, I'm still here. I still love my airmen. I love the military. I love the Air Force, and I'm just gonna be the best me I can be until I'm not here anymore. So, just keep it open and honest, and listen to your body. Because we do get tired, and it's okay to be tired.
Yeah.
It's okay to be tired. Get that rest. Take
Yeah.
care of you.
Perfectly said. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. For you out there listening, listen, this is my guest today, Yarden Smash, mother, author, senior NCO, leader. And yes, she has fibromyalgia, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you still can't achieve amazing things. Until next time, y'all, be kind. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. You can find us on the book, IG, or Twitter. Email us your stories to camobeautystories@gmail.com. That's it for me, y'all. Until next time, be kind to your body, soul, and mind.